All right. Hello, guys. I am back. I am so back. And I told you, if you saw my live just about an hour ago, I said, listen, I have an amazing guest on. He is my mentor, my coach. He is probably one of the most important people in my life. And I have to say, single-handedly, he's probably done the most for me. So, Alok Appadurai.
Oh!
Welcome to my Facebook Live. Today, we are going to talk all about you. We're going to talk about your journey with alcohol. You know my journey. Most of the people that follow me here on Facebook and where I'm going to be posting this on LinkedIn and so forth know my story. They know my journey, but they don't know yours. And as a 7-figure business owner and a CEO of one of the greatest businesses, Uplift Millions. Guys, if you haven't checked out Uplift Millions, you must check it out. Listen, this guy is up to some significant, incredible things in this world. And I'm so lucky to be in his sphere because that's what I would want to do as well. So we are all about changing lives, uplifting millions. Can we just say billions at this point? Because I know with all of us in this group, we just want to uplift billions. Uplift Millions, we're so glad to have you, Alok. Thank you for joining me. And this first of many interviews I'm going to be doing with business owners and CEO and C-suite executives and people in leadership roles, because you know what? This is a stigma with alcohol, and I'm about to blow it out of the water, and Alok is going to share his story. And so without further ado, Alok, tell me when it's been since the last time you've had a drink of alcohol. How long has it been?
Yeah, July 14th of 2014. So I think we're in the 8-year mark, which blows my mind. I just want everyone out there, years ago when I was still a drinker, I honestly could not even imagine or believe that I would be on something like this and say to you that it's been 8 years since I've had a drink of alcohol. But here we are, it was one decision and it changed my life.
Exactly. And I'm 6.5. So I'm about 2 months and 2 years behind you, but yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. So one of my biggest questions is, because there's a lot of people that are still drinking, they're starting to notice that it's becoming a problem. How did you know that it was starting to affect you in your life? And in what ways was it affecting you in a negative way?
Yeah. And I want everyone out there to know that, I'm not here to judge anybody for what their decisions are, and for those of you out there that have a healthy relationship with alcohol, where it's sort of maybe a recreational thing and you got full control over it, and it's something that, doesn't run your life, or you don't build your life around. Okay, awesome. I tip my hat to you. That wasn't me. And so, what I want to share with everybody is that I didn't have anybody around me telling me that I had an alcohol problem. And, everybody around me was like, look, your drinking is normal. It's like what we all do.
Yeah.
Right. And there was only inside me where I was like, I know this is not getting me the life that I want. It's not affecting my relationships in the way that I want. It's actually disconnecting me from relationships. It also was creating shame in my life, because I had this big public life and I stood for about 20 years of standing for running impact-led businesses and wanting to make a big, huge difference in the world and all these glorious things. And yet I had this sort of secret, right? This secret that I was kind of hiding, and, it was like
the 2 lives syndrome.
That's exactly right. And I said, and I would feel embarrassed, right? That I sort of led this big public life, but behind the scenes, it was kind of a mess. And so the clues for me were just one, let's just be real, is that like I was planning my days, around, did I have enough beer in the fridge? We're running up, right?
100%. I was planning meals on what I was like, do I want red or white of wine tonight? And I would literally plan my meals around what I was in the mood for.
That's right. And so when you start noticing that one's life is kind of getting constructed around something, whatever it is, you want to ask yourself, is that thing that I'm pretty highly committed to getting me the life that I actually want across my whole life? And, I'll be honest with everybody. It wasn't the decision to stop drinking was an immediate decision, but it was about 5 to 10 years in the making, right?
Yeah.
Where I knew this wasn't the life that I really want to be leading. But if I'm being honest, I didn't know how to change. I didn't know how to get out. Cause like, as I said, everybody around me drank,
Yeah.
it was what all of our social lives were built around. All of our coming togethers was like, let's go have a drink. Let's go do this. Right. And so that first step was sort of, it took years to be like, well, what would my life be like if I wasn't doing that?
Yeah, exactly. And you said something really important that I want to share, that there are 6 stages to making a change. And the first stage is pre-contemplation. And I was in that stage for 2 years. So it is very normal for somebody to go, I might be drinking too much, or I might be overeating too much, or I might be doing something, fill in the blank, whatever the habit is, too much.
Right.
And you stay in this pre-contemplation stage, and you can stay there for years, like both Alok and I. But once you would move into a contemplation stage, that usually like 45 days to 60 days, where you're like, oh my God, this is really starting to become an issue. This is becoming a thing. I might want to start paying attention to it. And then you move into what we call the preparation stage, when you start gathering information. Okay, now I'm going to put boots on the ground. I'm going to try to figure out how I'm going to do this, navigate through this. And you know what? If that's you, if you're like in that preparation stage, I got you covered. I mean, I got you covered. I got a 2 master classes next week. We're going to talk about what it means to be in this gray area and what you can do to get out of it. And that's such a beautiful place to be, because that means, you know what? You're preparing. And if you're looking at January is like, okay, when the calendar flips, that's when I'm going to decide to do something about it. I am so proud of you for making that decision. And it's perfect for you to be in that stage right now. And if you're not quite yet there, that is okay too. You will know. Like, we all have our own enough, which is why I asked Alok, like, what was his enough?
Yeah.
My enough was different than his. And we all have our own definition of what that looks like.
I want to tell everybody a real pivotal moment for me. It was that my son was about 2.5 years old at the time. And I had grown up myself around a lot of alcohol. And for those that understand what I'm saying there, it comes with a whole lot of other pieces: violence, fighting, arguing, stress, conflict, right? I mean, this was in my childhood, right? So it was all normalized, not just the drinking, but all the things that can tend to go along with the drinking. And my son was about 2.5 years old, Carrie, and I remember looking down at him. He was sleeping in the bed that we shared. And I remember thinking to myself right then and there, he's right before forming permanent long-term memories.
Yep, absolutely.
And I said, I can't control a lot in his life. There will be many things that will be out of my control. But I can control whether he grows up with a dad who's a drinker.
Yeah. Wow.
And so I say to everybody out there, you want to find internal motivators, right? The kind of, what is your life going to be like? What do you want your marriage to look like, your business life, everything. So there's internal. And for some of you out there, there may be an external motivator. And for me, I had both going on. And the hammer, the kind of final thing, was knowing that I had the chance right in that moment to delete that future for him. Just delete it. Whatever other mistakes I may make as a father to him, it wouldn't be that he'd experienced 2 dads.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Sober dad, and then dad that maybe had 2 or 3 beers, right? And I want everyone to hear this. It wasn't like I turned into some, blackout drunk. It wasn't like I turned into some angry drunk or violent drunk or anything like that. It's just that there would be a second version of me. And I didn't want my son to have to navigate, which dad am I getting right now? Am I getting sober dad, or am I getting kind of lit dad? Right.
Yes.
So I say to anybody out there, just think about your motivating factors. And then the other piece that I would say to everybody is, look at all the areas of your life, your marriage, your parenting, your business, all these things, whatever your areas of your life are. And then just ask, is alcohol creating a better expression of that part of your life? Yeah, I mean, just get real with yourself. Be
Yeah,
honest.
100%.
Right. And you'll look and kind of go, well, alcohol, when my partner and I were drunk, we get into all these fights, right? Or, in my work life, whatever the expressions are, but just take stock, and get a
Yeah.
sense of, is it adding to your life? Is it creating what you want in your life?
Exactly. And you said something so important, which is worth repeating, which is you had a very strong why. And anybody who's been in my sphere and in my programs know that we use something called the decide model. And the D is having a desire to change. Okay, great. That's pretty easy. But the E is exploring your why. And your why has to be something of deep value. It has to be that grounding force that keeps you going, the motivating factor. And for Alok, it was his child. For me, it was also my family. It was in those, again, who know my story, that my breaking moment was when my 23-year-old said to me, "Wow, mom, you're so trashed." And I repeated some very ugly words back to him that he told me the next day. And I was heartbroken. I mean, I can't tell that story without getting teared up because I still remember that feeling of like, wow, I'm such a disappointment to my own kid. And I didn't want that. And, Rob was on me for a couple of years and like, I didn't want that life. It took so much energy to keep up with it. And I was truly a gray area drinker. I wasn't severely abusing. So it doesn't matter like where you are in the spectrum, whether you're in a gray area or you're socially drinking or you're severely abusing, your why has to be big enough. And it has to be your why. It can't be someone else's why. It can't be. I have so many people that are like, will reach out to me. "Hey, Carrie, I need your help. My spouse or my sister, my brother, my aunt, whatever, really could benefit from talking with you." And I said, "Listen, I appreciate the love that you have for them, but unless they want it for themselves, it's not going to happen. We could want it so badly, but they have to get to their own enough." And that's same for you. If you're listening and you're like, "Oh my God, this is so resonating, and I'm not sure if I'm quite there yet." And I would tell you, if you are in that position where you're a leader, and listen, you don't have to be running a 7-figure business or even a 6-figure business or any of that. If you're a parent or you're married or you have anybody that you are even colleagues, you're a leader, period. It is required of you to be the best that you can be. And you can't if alcohol is negatively playing a part in your life. And I'm not here again. Alok and I both have the same message. My program's called Question the Drink, not Quit the Drink. It's called that for a reason. It's about questioning your relationship with alcohol, how it works for you, right? And this is all part of it. Oh my gosh, Alok, the value that you bring, and I had questions written down, but you've answered all of them. I don't even have to answer them. It's like, I think one last thing, and I think you've probably already answered this in such a beautiful way, is if there's that one person out there that's saying, "Yeah, but
That's right.
I can't let anybody know," or "I'm in a situation where I'm, really high up at my company," or "I'm too embarrassed to do anything about this. Like, I'm getting through it," and they're being really secretive. What advice would you tell them if they're sitting on the fence of, "Gosh, I just don't know if I'm quite ready"? What would you say to that person?
Yeah, it's, I was that person. So I totally get it, right? Big public life, huge career brewing. People knew me as certain things. And so the shame, right, kept me on the sidelines. So what I would say is to everybody, first and foremost, just start picking up the clues, right? What happened was the universe started sending me sober people over the years. Right. And I remember talking and I would say, "Hey, you're going to come to the bar with all of us." I remember I was at a school reunion and my friend David Listenberg, we had all flown in. We hadn't seen each other in gazillion years. And I said, we were on the bus going from somewhere to somewhere. And I said, "Hey, are you going to be at the bar later?" And he said, No, I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. He said, "I don't drink anymore." And I just remember sitting there and I didn't say anything to him.
Yeah.
Right? But I clocked it inside myself. I was like, wow.
Wait, what?
You made a decision.
And you probably were like, you had so much respect for him, didn't you? Like, how did he do it?
I literally, and I didn't have the courage to actually ask him in that moment. Right. But I literally, those were the literal words I said when I was sitting next to him on that bus. I was like, how did he do that? Exactly. And then I said to himself, well, what's his life like now? Like, what does he do?
He must be so boring.
Must be so boring. No, literally. I mean, I wasn't even judging him. I was just like, God, that's got to be a pretty boring life. Like, what do you do in your evenings? What do you do in your social life?
The myth. That's one of the myths that we bust.
You know, and so what I want to say to everybody is just pick up the clues. Maybe you're watching this right now, and this is kind of beginning to spark something in you. And find the safe space where you can raise your hand, whether it's going to Carrie and working with her and saying, hey, you know, for me, it happened like this. The final straw happened where I was running an ethical, sustainable, American-made clothing store that fed 500,000 meals to people in need. It was this amazing project. And a guy that I knew who ran a restaurant across the street, he came in to ask me, and I had a bunch of customers at the time, and he came in to ask me, hey, I want to take my wife on a date, and do you have a recommendation for a restaurant? And I gave him a recommendation. But then as he was walking out the door, he was about 30 feet away from me, from where I was, I remembered in my mind that restaurant does not serve alcohol. And so I shout across to him. I'm like, hey, Josh, by the way, they don't serve any alcohol. So, you know, I didn't know if he would be disappointed to take his date, his wife for a date.
Fair warning.
And I kid you not, I'll never forget this moment. As he's walking out the door, he just turns around. He's like, oh, no problem. I've got 12 years. And those words like landed on me, and he just left. And so I knew exactly what those words mean. I mean, some people would say 12 years of what? I was like, oh, no. He's 12 years sober. And by the way, that blew my mind, right? And so about a week later, I walked out of my store. I walked across the street to his store, his restaurant. He saw me and he's like, hello, you know, a big, huge hello, the normal stuff. But I want everyone to hear this. I walk in, he sees me, all elated, thrilled, and I walk up to him and I looked at him dead in the eyes and I said, the other day you came across the street and you said to me that you have 12 years. And all of a sudden he just came present with me. All the vibrato, all of the stuff just vanished. And he looked me dead in the face and he said, do you need to talk to me? And I said, yes. He literally pointed at a table in the corner of his restaurant. He said, go there. I'll meet you there. And I sat there because he knew my life. He knew that I had a very public existence. And he took me somewhere private. And he said, tell me what's going on. And for the very, very first time, I said, I have a drinking problem and I need some help. And it was private. It was one-on-one. Nobody else needed to know. But it was my first step to just simply raise my hand and say, I need some help here. And I don't know where to go. I don't know who to talk to. So, you know, Carrie's here. If you're beginning to ask that, have a private conversation. See if she can help you, work with you privately. Because you know, maybe you're running a big, huge 7, 8, 9, 10-figure company. Maybe you've got 200 people underneath you. Maybe you've got a family and friends and all the things. You don't need some big, huge public thing to make this change. You need one person who will not judge you, who will love you, and who will be there for you through that transformation. So he would come check on me, and he began to open a door, and he said something to me that I will never forget because it blew my mind. And it maybe sounds obvious to everybody listening to this, but he looked at me and he said, Alok, the most important thing sitting at that table, I'll never forget this. He said, Alok, you've got so many sober people all around you. Right around here. He's like, I can introduce you. He said, you are surrounded by sober people. And I was like, who? Where are these people?
Where are they? Where's my people?
I don't know these people, right?
Yeah.
And the thing that I want everyone to hear out of this is that sober people just started coming out with the woodwork. I mean, it was amazing. And not just like kind of run of the mill. Every mentor that I ended up hiring, I then find out they too had made a dramatic shift in their relationship to alcohol. They didn't yell about it. They didn't proclaim it. But they'd be like, oh yeah, I stopped drinking a long time ago. I don't have time for that shit. I got big, huge things that I'm working on. Right. And so what I want to say to everybody out there is my life, I'll speak for myself. Every area of my life has transformed for the better out of this decision. Every area. I make more money. My relationships are better. The way that I am as a parent is better. My energy levels are better. My health, my vibration, my vitality, my glow, everything.
Yes.
Dramatically. And so I just want you to know, people can think about it as like, I'm going to lose something.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to lose my social life. I'm going to lose my friends. I'm going to lose this. I'm going to lose that. I just want to plant a seed for anyone listening. What you stand to gain, you'll never look back and go, gosh, I lost, Jimmy, my drinking buddy down at the local watering hole.
Exactly.
You're not going to look back and realize I lost. You're going to see, oh my God, I gained.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Alok, the first person I told that I was like confiding in, I'll never forget her words. She said, you think right now you're really losing about this much, but Carrie, what you can't see is all of this, what you're gaining. And I was like, huh? I didn't even know what that meant.
That's right.
How could I? Because I was so like fixated on, I can't be without my precious wine.
That's right.
And I didn't realize, everything is tied up into alcohol, right? Our business, I have so many clients that are like, Carrie, my business is based off of me networking and taking clients out and going on the golf course or taking them to, sales events or so forth. They're like clients and blah, 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 blah. And, it's part of the deal. And I said, that's a narrative that you've told yourself that society has sold to us.
That's right.
That is not it. And you know what? Half the time when you tell somebody, hey, I'm not drinking, they have so much respect for you. And then they want to know, it's like, this is, we've heard the term attraction rather than promotion. And that's so true. When people find out I don't drink, they're like, wow, I want to know how you did it. I want to know more about you, because the vibration that we give off is so electric. And it's because we've tapped into being fully present. And I think that's the gift, is about being fully present. And we can't be fully present if we have things outside of ourselves that we're using to cope with some of the stress. And let me tell you, that's my jam, y'all. Like, I am the queen of finding new ways for you to cope with stress and cope with the things that are really down in here, because alcohol is just a symptom, right? It's just the way that we use
alcohol is a symptom. I want to speak to that, everybody. Like, it was, for me, it was, let's just be real. It was a numbing agent. It was a crutch.
Absolutely.
If I looked at, I once went, I don't remember the number anymore, but I tallied up how much I had spent on alcohol. And I want everyone to hear this. I had nothing to show for it except problems.
Yep. I could have bought a Porsche for the amount of money I was spending on alcohol every month. I'm not joking.
I know you're not
100%.
joking. It's like, and so I want everyone to know, like, I'm not promising to anybody that it's a, just some, for me anyway, it wasn't like the easiest journey, because the decision itself to stop was not hard at all. Literally, once I made the decision, it was done. From there, it's really staring down your own emotions, right? Because you're no longer cloaking who you are and what you feel. And that can be intense. So you're going to, I highly recommend having someone like Carrie in your orbit as you're navigating a really tremendous change, whether it's you go sober cold turkey, whether it's you do a dramatic reduction. We've got clients right now that I've watched them. I mean, it's extraordinary what's happening for them, right? One of them is a guy, and he's a lawyer and all these things, and his firm is exploding, totally exploding. His social life, his relationship, he ended a toxic, horrible relationship. He's like, I'm watching, I'm like, holy cow. And for him, he didn't go sober. He just dramatically changed his relationship to alcohol. Dramatically changed his relationship.
Exactly. And we start to see it. And as soon as we start to alter our relationship with alcohol, and we start to see how it's really playing a part, it's like all of a sudden things start to fall into place. Like, you feel better, you sleep better, you eat better, your relationships improve. It's, I have a gentleman who's going to come on next week, and he's going to share his story about how his marriage was saved. And we're talking a long-term marriage here, guys. This is not like, we're talking real stuff, real life people. And,
there's another piece I want to speak into for everybody, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
It's around time. And, one of the pieces, again, when I talked about kind of motivating factors, especially for those of you out there that are mission driven, that have a big vision of what you want to do and your contribution that you want to make. When I look back at how I used time, right? And people talk about working smarter, not harder, right? Time is actually is one of our most valuable resources. I would argue focus is the most valuable resource. So why am I saying this to everybody? I look back and I look at now, like how I use my time now, right? And everything in our company is just absolutely exploding. I used to spend 2-3 hours a night, numbed out, self-medicated, right? 2 to 3 hours a night. Okay. At this phase of my life, there isn't an extra 2 to 3 hours for that.
That's
anymore.
right.
Like I'm already totally full with everything that I'm creating in my life, that I'm like, what do you mean? Another 30 hours a week, 25 hours a week that would go to something other than what I'm creating now? No way. There's no way I'm going back to that lifestyle.
Yes. And we think about how many people have been impacted by our decision, Alok, right? And it's like, that's the thing. It's a trickle down effect. It's not even just your family. It's not even just your health and you. It's the people that work with you. It's the people that you have employed, that you are employing them. It's their lives. Like, it is such a trickle down effect. I see it day in and day out with my clients. It's probably the biggest gift that I receive, is that knowing that a client's like, oh my gosh, Carrie, I use that method that you taught me to my kids, and now it's helping them in school. And I'm just like, what? Like, thank you, God, that I get to be that person that has helped change or influence somebody. And it just starts with making one decision for you to say, you know what? I don't want this life anymore. And I want to do something about it. I'm ready.
Whatever money, time, energy, resources, the someone out there might invest into creating this change, you'll look back and go, oh my God,
that was pay 10 times that for this result. Oh, I said it to all the time.
10 times that.
Yeah. 100%.
And the piece that you just said is so important. I want to say it like this. It is a change in lineage. It is not just a change in your life. It is a radical lineage shift that you get to create, that ripples down out into future generations. My son, he'll make whatever decisions he's going to make in his life. He and I have actually talked about alcohol. He's only 10 and he's asked me about it. I didn't demonize it. I said, this is an adult, drink. And then this is adult things that people do, and your daddy doesn't do it anymore. And here's why. And I said, I support you. And he's like, I don't know that I want to do that, Dad. I'm like, so he's going to make whatever decisions he makes. The best that I could do was model for him a parent that was making a different set of decisions.
Yes.
And so we really have the chance, we can't guarantee it, but we have the chance that it can ripple out for generations when we make this decision.
Yes, 100%. That's such a good point. This is bigger than us. It's bigger than you watching, right? If that's you, if you're resonating with any of this, Alok, you're just such a gem. I really appreciate you coming on, sharing your story with me, with my audience, and just your journey. And you're so successful now. For those that, Alok, let me brag on you a little bit. You guys, this is a gentleman who is a Wall Street Journal best-selling author. He's done a TEDx. He's had several companies, all extremely successful. My gosh, tell them about your book. Tell me about your book real quick, because it is just amazing. And if you like his style and you are in business and you're like, man, I want to up level, this is your guy, man. I'm telling you, he is.
Thanks so much. The book's called Maximum Impact Potential. And and what are we talking about here? What is the impact that you have in your world and in your life? And so, alcohol being one of those decisions. And for me, I'm fascinated by the full range of decisions that people can make to make their biggest contributions to humanity, to themselves, to their families, to their communities. And so if you're a leader out there and you're asking some big, powerful questions about impact and creating impact into the world, I recommend just go to upliftmillions.com/book and Amazon or wherever you'll find it. But Maximum Impact Potential
I
is
should have had it on my desk so I could show it, but
that's okay.
Yeah.
I should probably have one too.
Yeah, you probably have one somewhere. And then, of course, you were featured in Forbes with Tony Robbins. Like, hello. Like, this is a superstar, you guys.
You know, the superstar decision was changing the changing decisions in my life. And I want you all to hear one of the hardest but most powerful lines I was ever told was that your current life is a reflection of your current commitments.
Oh, 100%. Your identity, your standard is your commitments.
That's right.
And your identity is driving those behaviors. So, I mean, it's pretty easy to look at somebody and go, those are their standards and those are the commitments, you know, and not to say anybody's perfect because nobody is, but you can clearly see it, which is why this girl signed up for a personal trainer yesterday. And I'm committed.
That's
I'm
right.
committed.
That's
so
right.
my standard is getting raised because I'm not happy with this right now. I want to raise my standard. And you have to own it. You have to believe it. And that's the thing too. If you're questioning, like, can I really do this? I don't know if I can. I'm going to tell you right now, make the decision that you already are.
That's
by
it.
making the decision. And then when you move into this new identity, the actions follow, because then you're going to want to take action because you're fed up. You get to the enough point that we talked about, and you're like, no, I want to create something different. And if you don't have that belief yet, if you're just like, I don't know, Carrie, I can't do it. Let me tell you, I have enough belief for you.
That's right. Borrow her belief. If you're remotely watching this and you're remotely asking the question, if there's some different relationship to alcohol, like if that question is even remotely percolating inside yourself, that is the universe, spirit, source, God, whatever your language for this is, saying yes, like it's the neon sign going, hey, go that way. Listen to the question you're asking right now.
Exactly. And you know what else I say? You don't even have to like this video or this comment, or you don't have to comment. You don't have to do anything. Most of my clients don't ever.
Nope.
But I know you're watching. So you don't have, you can be lurking in the background. That's okay. But you can't stay there forever. At some point, you're going to want to make that empowering decision for yourself. And
y'all reach out to Carrie, book a call with her, and have that be the same moment when I walked across the street into that restaurant and said for the very first time to somebody else, I think I have a problem and I could use some help and I don't know what to do. That simple act of courage isn't just a courageous act for yourself. It is a courageous act that will transform the trajectory of everybody who comes into contact with you, their life.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So good. Alok Appadurai. There we go. I'm going to keep practicing your last name. Listen, I've been in your sphere for 3 years and it's like, I still struggle, but you know what? I love you regardless.
It's a tricky one until it gets in there. And then it's like in there permanently,
I'm working on it. I just call you, I've always just called you Alok, right? It's like,
that's right.
It's so funny because when you say my name, you say you're always like Carrie Schwer.
That's right. That's right.
It's like Carrie's not just Carrie. It's Carrie Schwer.
As we're closing out here, the main thing was I looked back at all the business mixers and networking events and all the moments where honestly, I was a little lit and I was not like my full radiant self in that moment. And I looked back and I said to myself, I don't ever, because you never know who you're meeting. You never know who you're connecting with, and you want your best foot forward. And I look back and I realized, God, I was slurring my words. My eyes were barely open. I was probably wobbling a little bit. Maybe I was out on the dance floor, and I love dancing, but maybe I was making an ass of myself, know, right?
Or drunk texting or emailing when you shouldn't be, or
oh my God.
The list goes on and on.
Or let's just go one step further where friends of mine still are like, oh, I'm totally can't come over today because God, I tied one on last night and I was puking all morning. It's like, I don't miss any of that.
Me either.
I don't miss, because it's not even just the nights that you're drinking. It's like the next day or two
Yeah, you
where
pay for it.
your life is this, whatever it is, because you're now altering things. I don't miss any of that
I know.
at
We have
all.
more important things to do, like
That's right.
empowering people and uplifting
That's
millions.
right. Like, let's go do something that makes
Yeah.
miracles in other people's lives.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so blessed. Yes, we're also blessed. So thank you again, Alok. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your story with me and my audience, and for your vulnerability and your rawness and your openness. It's what's needed, because there's so many people out there that they need to know they're not alone. And I think that's the thing, that people get drawn to me because they know I put it all out there. I mean, there's very little y'all know about me. It's like all out there. And you know what? That's okay, because I was allowed to go through it so that I could share it with you. And I 100% believe that God allowed those things to happen in my life for me to be here today to impact that one person that may be listening. So thank you for being that one person, if that's you. And if it's
my
not,
joy. It's my joy. Go to Carrie, find a confidential source where you're safe and you can be real and you won't be judged for your decisions.
That's right.
Decisions were what they were. But the first step is to go, I trusted that guy across the street. I knew that he cared for me. I didn't even know why, because he and I weren't even that close.
Yeah.
But I just knew that he would keep it confidential and that he would be there for me. So raise your hand. You don't have to go commenting. Just drop her a DM and say, I'm that guy and I'm ready. I'm ready for some next step.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you again, Alok. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here, guys. And we'll see you next week when I have somebody else coming on to share their story. Bye.